Hey, I am Kristen Bowen, and I am, maybe not going live on Instagram. Oh, there we go. I'm setting up the stream so that I can stream to a couple places. My name is Kristen. I'm a magnesium advocate, and we are talking your personal magnesium burn rate, not bone rate, burn rate. Magnesium does help with your bones, but we're talking magnesium burn rate. And how often do you need to soak? And Deborah had the best question, and I get this a lot. And my master class, I do a monthly master class to people who have subscribed to the Good Journal, my newsletter that goes out. And those who were subscribed to the Good Journal, I send out a free master class every month where we meet on Zoom. I can see your face, and we just go a little bit deeper, and I'm able to answer more questions, and we go a little bit longer than this live. And I'm setting my timer right now, 30 minutes. And I want to make sure that you understand your burn rate. Deborah was frustrated because she had soaked twice a week and her magnesium was low. And I'm going to just pretend that Deborah's here, and I'm going to talk right to Deborah, knowing that a lot of people experience this. Your magnesium burn rate may not stay at the levels that you want with only soaking twice a week. And the other problem that can happen is, were you testing magnesium red blood cell levels, or were you testing your magnesium serum? Magnesium serum is what Western medical doctors test. And some of them are starting to test the magnesium red blood cell, but the majority of them are testing the serum. Soaking in magnesium will not show up on the serum like it does on the magnesium red blood cell, because they're two completely different types of magnesium tests. The magnesium serum is so important to be at 1% that your body will pull from your bones, your brain, your pancreas, your heart, all of the places that need to have magnesium to keep you alive at 1%. I don't want to just focus on if I'm alive or dying. I want to thrive. And thriving, we look at the magnesium red blood cell. And that's what soaking in magnesium will move those numbers. But your personal burn rate is what makes a difference in how often you have to soak. Here are some of the things that decrease your magnesium burn rate. Most medications, stress, how your management of stress tools, how often you're using those, the foods that you eat, the sleep that you get. And here's one that I think a lot of us miss, and that is our internal dialogue. Let me grab a little bit of water, I'm dry. The negative self-talk. Oh, I didn't get enough done. Oh, I don't even want to say it. I'm so stupid. That internal dialogue that comes up can actually push your magnesium out through your urine and increase your magnesium burn rate. We need to recognize how powerful our thoughts are. And I would love to know, for those of you that have hopped on and joined me live, waving hello, does internal dialogue, is that a part of your experience? It is very much a part of mine. And I'm always finding ways to silence that negative internal dialogue. I'd love to know where you're coming from on that. And if you've joined the live before, if you're new, if you've been to my lives, just give me some feedback there, and I can really tailor this to those of you that have shown up live with me today. So when Deborah had her magnesium levels tested, and I'm not sure which way she went. If she went serum, that's not going to show that you soaked. And so that's the first thing when people say to me, oh, my test work didn't show anything. That's my number one question. Which test did you have done? Magnesium serum will not show the benefits of soaking in magnesium because your body does everything, pulls from everywhere to stay at 1%. Magnesium red blood cell testing, and Shelly is here again with us. You can't see her, but she's here, and she will be posting those links right to the test that I like. Thank you, Shelly. That little link popped up because of Shelly. And when you're testing the magnesium red blood cell, it also is not a perfect test. It shows what's inside the cell. Now, 60% of our magnesium is bone, and the magnesium red blood cell test does not show what's on your bones. It's showing that 40%, 60% of magnesium goes toward bone health. 40% needs to be in the cell. And that's what the magnesium red blood cell is testing, is the magnesium levels in your cell. Now, we can have a couple hiccups right here. And here's the next question I would ask. Have you utilized adding some taurine? Taurine is an amino acid, and it is one that drives magnesium into the cell, because you might be soaking in magnesium, but if it's not entering the cell, it's not doing you any good. And that's where a gap can be created. And remember, my gift, my weird gift in the world is seeing the gaps that people don't realize there's a gap that they're leaking their health. And that's one of the first gaps with soaking. And that's why I think it is so important to test your magnesium red blood cell levels so that you know, do I have a gap? That test gives us feedback if you have a gap. Now, where Deborah, I want to go down the different pathways that can happen as you take some information from this time that we're hanging out together and apply it to your own personal journey. And that is, she soaked twice a week. So there's two pathways there that we can go down. Pathway number one is 2 times a week may not be enough to even keep up with her magnesium burn rate. And then the next question is, the next pathway is, do I have enough to put the magnesium in my cells? Is it that I'm soaking in magnesium, but it's not going into the cell? And we utilize that by adding some taurine. But and this is, I think, where we can get overwhelmed. I want you looking for that tidbit of information today that you and I are hanging out together for the next 30 minutes. And I want you to focus on the one thing that you were like, oh, I needed to know that. And the action item to walk away. Because talking about health doesn't get you healthy. It's when you take action. And it actually, when you listen to health information, read health information, see it on social media, if you're not taking action, it creates another gap that you have more information and you've increased the amount of overwhelm that your body's capable of. Taking action. Micro actions can be sharing thoughts on this live, sharing what your golden nugget was that you're taking away. And that can actually decrease your magnesium burn rate, which, yes, I sell magnesium. It's the best magnesium on the planet. I also want to share how to use it more effectively so that you're using less, because my goal is to get you out there living a big life. And so when Deborah was soaking 2 times a week may not have been enough to even sustain her magnesium burn rate, let alone increase her magnesium burn rate. And so that's another reason I love the 30-day challenge. Grabbing some more water. That's another reason I absolutely love the 30-day challenge if it's right for you. For example, when I had young children all at home, might not have pulled off a magnesium challenge and then being tested. So I am not saying you absolutely have to do it. I do want you to understand the benefits of the 30-day challenge. When you do that 30-day challenge and you're soaking consistently, it's not, well, definitely the goal is to move your magnesium levels up, right? Like you invested the time, the money, the energy, the focus to do that 30-day challenge, and you want your numbers moving up. There's more to it than that. There's so much more. And that is you're finding out, do I have a crack in my foundation? Is that magnesium entering my cell? When you get that magnesium level back, if you opt to test the magnesium red blood cell level, and Shelly has so graciously posted that, and it's in the comments, so you can click right to that. You're getting feedback for what's happening in your body. I wish I kind of miss the old days of the company where I was just so interactive with most people that were soaking. And as the company's grown, I play a little bit different role now. And that's why I do these lives, is so that I can share with you the things that I've learned from the thousands upon thousands of women, the patterns that happen. Because if we can close those patterns, it closes the gap and we create health more easily, so that we're not just focused on creating health, or maybe you're like me and you're maintaining health. So when you get that test back, it's yes, we want the magnesium to move. We're also getting feedback if your cells are uptaking and utilizing. And a lot of times, and I completely understand this, a lot of times people's response is, "Oh, magnesium didn't work. What a waste of time." The magnesium is giving you feedback at what your body needs to close a gap. That reminds me. When you travel in Europe, if you've ever been there and you go to get on the tube, it says, mind the gap, mind the gap. We're going to close the gap, close the gap. So if you've ever traveled to Europe, think of that mantra, close the gap. That's what we're doing to create health easily without wasting money and time. We've got to close those gaps. When you go to your magnesium red blood cell test, if you will look at what is happening instead of only did my numbers move. And yes, we want that. I don't want to discount that. We also want to know what's happening. What gap do I have? The very easiest, in my opinion, for the majority of people is that missing taurine. Now, a lot, because you know me, if you've been on my lives, you know that I am not a fan of synthetic nutrition, isolated supplements. We don't expect to get healthy from cold cereal, but then we go to the health food store and we buy a vitamin that has the exact same nutrients that the cold cereal did, just put in a pill and increase the price. I'm just not a huge fan. I do use some. I don't want you to think I'm like 100%. I'm very cautious about what I use, because there's a downside to synthetic nutrition. It can create imbalance in your body, just like taking synthetic vitamin D. It can help some people, but if your stored D is higher than your active D, taking that vitamin, the synthetic vitamin D, can create havoc at that first gateway. That's why we're soaking in magnesium, is to activate our vitamin D. That is the first gateway of health. It sets a strong foundation. So there's always a downside to that synthetic nutrition. And I want to talk about taurine. And if you have questions, please post them. And at about the last 10 to 15 minutes, I would love to just do back and forth questions. When you're adding taurine, because your magnesium red blood cell test is showing it's not going into your cell, you're not getting the benefit fully of that magnesium. And my first step is taurine. It's the most effective that I've seen across the 20 years and thousands of women. And I like the simplest and the most effective, and that's taurine for the majority of people. But you can max out, you can burn out your thyroid with too much taurine. And your thyroid conversion going from T4 to T3 can actually decrease and not be as beneficial if you're on the max dose of taurine. And so it's not like, oh, I'm going to take the max dose of taurine every day and life is good, because a lot of people won't make that connection that, oh, I started this taurine and my magnesium levels went up, but man, I'm really tired. Because you get tired if you're not converting T4, which I think of it like the Eeyore hormone, into T3, which is like the Tigger hormone that's, gives you that energy and is all over the place. And if that conversion drops, you get tired. And sometimes that connection isn't made. And so I want, if you opt, here's my disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing. I'm not telling you what to do. I like to think of this in the best option would be all of us hanging out together and eating lunch and talking and sharing, and I could see you and we could have a bit more interaction. And then it's your responsibility to make the best decision for your health under your circumstances. Healthy women have strong filters and they do what is best for them. They don't just follow all the things that they see. They do what is best for them. What worked for me to get me out of that wheelchair was building a strong foundation, having enough magnesium to help the vitamin D go from stored to active. And that's what I'm focused on, going from that vitamin D. Now, when you get your vitamin D levels tested, most Western medicine only tests stored vitamin D. And I want to know my active and my stored. So Shelly has popped up in the links. Everybody do a little Shelly dance. I do them on a daily basis. My gratitude for her. When I get my vitamin D tested, I want to know my active and my stored vitamin D, and I want to know the ratio. I want my active higher than my stored, and I want enough magnesium to keep the vitamin D conversion happening from stored into active. That's why I soak in magnesium, to have enough in my cell. And so when you take that taurine, take it cautiously, judiciously. And if you start seeing a difference in thyroid or energy, or for example, I track my thyroid function by taking my early morning temperature. And if you start seeing a drop in your temperature and you've recently added taurine, boom, that's what it is. I would drop the taurine immediately. And then we would go to the next pathway of getting that magnesium into your cell. And that could be B, adding more B vitamins will also help. Boron will also help. Boron is a great one for me. You can go on Amazon or your local health food store and buy boron. Boron helps hold magnesium in the cell and does a little bit of pushing magnesium into the cell. Its greatest strength is reducing inflammation so that the magnesium is more accessible and it holds on to the magnesium in your cell and does a little bit of pushing. But the downside with boron is too much of that and you're creating imbalance. And remember, if overwhelm has set in, create action, a micro action right now. Put a post, throw up. What have you learned? What's your takeaway? What's that one single thing that you're going to walk away with? Because we just talked about a lot of details and pathways, but understanding those when we take action helps us move our health forward efficiently. Overwhelm kicks in. Overwhelm is not an emotion, it's a lack of action. I'm going to grab some more water. It's a lack of action. So talk to me. What are your questions? Where are you at? Have you had your magnesium tested? I would love for those that are on right now to dive a little bit deeper and really focus on what you are working on. So Jackie had a great question. Should we soak right up to the day of testing or pause soaking for a couple days beforehand? I would give it a minimum of 24 hours before you get tested with no soaking, and no longer than 72 is the ideal. But remember, we don't have to live optimal to create optimal health. And sometimes that perfectionism can kick in. Oh, I have to do it this way and it has to be done exactly this way. We're looking at ballpark. I don't live optimally every single day. For example, I slept in this morning, did not get to the gym. I didn't have optimal, but that's okay. It's okay. I will do other things and I will reduce my expectations of what happens today, because I know when I get that Pilates in, my mind has more clarity. And so today I reduce my expectation because that closed a gap. Does that make sense how we're closing gaps? I hope so. So Jackie, on that one, it between 1 to 3 days is optimal. If it went like 4 or 5, I would still test. Over 5, I would do another week of soaking before you had that test done, because if you've done that 30-day challenge, we want to know what happened in that 30 days. How did my body utilize? And yes, number one goal is moving magnesium levels. As important is getting the feedback as to what's happening in your body. Oh, Jackie, over the moon. I'm so glad that helped, Jackie. Okay, so Elaine, welcome. Elaine, I don't know if you and I have connected before, so welcome. These lives happen every, and I'm missing some things. Shelly's communicating with me and I'm missing them. These lives happen every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And Elaine, I'm so glad that you're here. Question: I have not had testing for MAG. I have no thyroid and take some thyroid medication. How does this affect everything? I'm so glad that you asked this, Elaine. So is my filler word when I'm trying to think, and I wish I could pull it from every video that I do. When you're on thyroid medication, it obviously, the better you are doing with that thyroid medication, and remember, I'm not a doctor, just sharing some thoughts. The better that thyroid medication is working for you is optimal and will help you hold on to your magnesium. It doesn't make a difference, and don't drop. Well, and see, I have to be so careful here. I'm not a doctor. I'll say it that way. I personally, if I were on thyroid medication, and I have been before, just to give myself a little boost, I'm currently not on it, I would not change anything about my thyroid medication to get tested. Like, would not change anything. I would continue on that same path. And the more optimized your thyroid is, the better your body is going to work, which means the better your magnesium levels are going to be. And sometimes when that magnesium you just don't see the movement on the magnesium red blood cell, we have to focus more on the trifecta. Have you and I talked about the magnesium morning trifecta? That is reducing inflammation in the optimal way: walking in the early morning sunshine, soaking in magnesium. focusing on reducing that inflammation will help the a person who has thyroid and someone who is on thyroid medication by decreasing that inflammation. Okay, so I want to do something. I need like a rubber band. We have, oh, I went from so to see, I've got some internal dialogue going on that. Whoa, letting that go. So we're in live. Whoa, just letting that go. Right now, I'm on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, but I can't see all of those comments. So one of the things that Shelly is doing is sending me private messages with the questions that are coming in from Insta. And I'd like to hit those right now. So Susie Q rocks. I have a granddaughter named Susie, and we call her Susie Q sometimes. I absolutely love that Insta handle. I have a practice of awareness about the voice in my head, and it's mostly kind. When I have damaging thoughts, I do my best to shift to gratitude. We talked earlier about how the negative internal dialogue, for example, you just saw mine. I'm focused on increasing my ability to make these lives the best that I can. And the so's and the ums, there are too many. And that internal dialogue kicked in for me. And so Susie has helped me remember, if Susie said so and when I was talking to her, I would not judge her. And so she just helped me remember, be kind to myself. I've let that go. Do you see how, even though I can't see Susie, her leaving that comment helped me? And that's why connected women are healthy women. Susie, thank you so much for that. Shifting to gratitude that I have Shelly here to help me with all of the things, gratitude that I can stream to 3 different places at once. So much gratitude. Susie, thank you for helping me actively move into that. We need each other. Connected women are healthy women. Okay, Justin. Oh, just Jen 29. What if I can only soak twice a week? This is where, thank you for asking this. If you can soak twice a week, instead of saying, I can only soak twice a week, say, boom, I've got twice a week that I am soaking. Do you see that subtle shift there? And I'm not saying that you had this. I'm sharing things that have happened with me. That shift from, oh, I can only soak twice a week. And yours did not come across that way. I'm sharing something that I can relate to. I'm only soaking twice a week. No, it's, I've got twice a week to soak. That difference changes the internal dialogue and makes it so you're holding on to more of that magnesium. Jen, we're closing that gap. Using the spray or lotion absolutely will help, but remember, the spray and the lotion do not get you to cell saturation. They can help maintain, they can help give, think of more topical benefits. The spray, more than the lotion, has more magnesium for you than the lotion. Spraying it on your feet, absolutely beneficial. It's, if you're wanting cell saturation, it's the soaking in magnesium. Okay, I've got about 2 minutes left. Can you explain the temperature and thyroid again? Ooh, lashes and brows. I bet yours are beautiful, and I bet you help a lot of women feel amazing. When you're if you're interested in thyroid, in my opinion, the best way to look at your thyroid function is to take your temperature in the morning, and especially a 30-day span, because during your cycle, your temperature will change and you will see patterns. And getting that temperature up and staying as close to where it needs to be means optimal thyroid function. And instead of, oh, my thyroid's not working, I look at, ooh, where's my sleep at? Did that drop my thyroid function? Because sleep drops thyroid function, adrenals. And that's why we go back to voltage. Voltage is so important at the cellular levels. If your thyroid's not functional, the first thing I would look at is where's my voltage? Because adrenals run on salt and potassium, and they need magnesium to convert the energy. And adrenals, think of adrenals and thyroid as, like two horses side by side pulling a carriage. And if your adrenals are burned out and tired, then your thyroid steps in and starts to do things for your adrenals that it shouldn't be doing. And then your adrenals get more tired and pull down your thyroid. And voltage, magnesium, salt, potassium. The first thing I look at if I'm concerned about thyroid, the next thing I would do is start taking my morning temperature before I get out of bed. I have the thermometer, the old school kind, not a digital. I have a thermometer and take my temperature that way. Okay. Oh, there's so many good questions here. Lashes and brows. I hope that helped. Okay. Bio Divine Functional Health. Welcome. I don't think you and I have ever connected. Love that name. I understand magnesium on serum can show normal when it's low. How do you group markers to see that better without missing it? How can you know it's normal or low? The way that I do that is by testing my magnesium red blood cell. So we'll finish up that. That was my timer to be done. We'll finish this up, and the recording will be up. That marker, to me, I'm not concerned about my serum levels. Have that tested once a year. I have my magnesium levels tested much more because that's the marker that shows me more accuracy. And remember, it's not a perfect test. It does not show what's happening with your bones. And magnesium drives the nutrients into the bone. It's like the Mack truck. If you've got bone density problems, we know you have magnesium problems. If you have low vitamin D, we know you have magnesium issues. So let's go to the magnesium levels, make sure the cells have enough and that you're uptaking it. That's why I love the 30-day challenge and then testing to see how your body has functioned with the 30-day challenge. Magnesium shines the light on what is broken in your body. And once you start learning that communication, you'll just be blown away by all the things that you can close that gap on with your health. They used to test it and say 6.3 was the gold standard, and then they dropped it to 5, 12, 15-ish years ago because nobody was hitting the 6.3. I did not drop my standard because as a society, we're getting sicker. So I still go for magnesium red blood cell of 6.3 or above. I hope. Oh, takeaway. I have to ask that. It's a micro action that will help give your brain a hook. What was your takeaway? What was that golden nugget that you are taking away from our time together today? What's that action piece? What is that piece of information that you can take action on? That's what creates help. Action got me out of the wheelchair. Magnesium, activating my vitamin D, my stored and active, got me out of the wheelchair. That's what made the difference in my health crash over 20 years ago. I wake up most mornings, not today, I wake up most mornings energized and excited to start my day versus hitting that alarm clock. And it's because I built that strong foundation. I took micro actions, little teeny micro actions. I would love to know what your micro action is going to be. What is happening there? Carolyn, you are the reason that I share more now about the tarring. The conversation, Carolyn, that you and I had is the reason I'm talking more about that tarring so that people understand that. And do you see how connected women are healthier women? Carolyn, I adore you. I've been able to be a little part of her journey, and she shared so much with me. And in her sharing, it helped remind me, oh, Kristen, you need to talk more about this so that people understand there's always a downside to synthetic nutrition. Oh, Serena, thank you for sharing. And I've been able to watch Serena and be a part and such a beautiful connection with her. Thank you so much. Working on voltage. Anytime anything goes wrong, from knee pain, headache, tight shoulders, the first thing sickness, sore throat, um, gummy eyes in the morning, anything. The first thing I do is look at voltage. If the voltage to my cells are off, all of the other things I'm doing are not going to be as effective. I want it simple. I want it fast. I want it easy so I can get out there and do the things I want. I'm leaving on Saturday to babysit 3 grandkids for 3 days. And that's one of the reasons I want optimal health. Knowing your reason why is incredibly important. Oh, just so much back to you, Carolyn and Serena also. Just love the connection and learning together and sharing and that creating community. Good Life community. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part. We do send out replays to my email newsletter, which I call the Good Life Journal. And it gets, so that replay, in case you ever miss one of these, you can just hop right to the link on the email newsletter. And I was so grateful. Shelly shared with me this morning an email that came in, or maybe a telephone call, I'm not sure, but someone had reached out to her and said, the bullet points are life-changing. Shelly and I have figured out a system, and we do it pretty quickly, that we're able to send the recording with the bullet points. If you don't have time to watch the recording, just to make it simple to uptake. And so those bullet points go out for the recording in the email newsletter. As soon as I hop off this, Shelly and I will hop on and get that newsletter ready and send that out to the Good Life Journal. And Shelly's got a link that you can go join that. If you have not been a part of that, I'd love to have you in that community. Women focused on increasing their health. It was delightful being with you today. Healthy women are connected women. And I felt incredible connection and was lifted today by the thoughts and things that you shared. And it helped me release that negative dialogue about my ums and my so's. And I'm working on it imperfectly, and that's okay. Have the best day. Live the good life. See ya.